let's start with the weather in October. 27 days out of 31 was wet and pretty much unflyable, and with a lot of wind too. Hampered our FPV journey, shall we say, and it really is a journey. From two people who are used to flying toy drones with toy grade controllers, just having a bit of fun. The routes to go, the Mavic Mini, which we have for doing cinematic stuff, and the FPV route, which we don't really have a lot of experience of. Then you get into the cinewhoop kind of things, which we're not really learnt how to fly. We're more into the, pick up a controller, up and down to bind and fly it. But toy drones really have reached a sort of level. You can only buy so many of the 4K, 1080p, 720p cameras that are all pretty much Wi-Fi or, SD card recorded that just aren't. Just very low definition. Fly within a few hundred meters, have GPS but toilet bowl, the kind of thing. You enjoy them for what they are, and you fly them for a bit of fun, and they take minutes to set up. Fun fly around the park, but you don't really get much in the way of footage or involvement other than, like a bit of a fly up and down. So, moving on to FPV drones, of which of late I have to say I've not fully enjoyed. I think I've tried to step above the mark a bit. Purchase things like the Emax Tiny Hawk and Tiny Hawk Freestyle, which are a bit frisky for my toy drone experience, and JJC agrees with this. And in addition, we tried the Armour 65 Lite, which he enjoyed, but I just find wasn't as controllable as it really should be. And I'm still struggling to do all the computer stuff and the binding to radios, and I'll be honest, we kind of like just ready to fly stuff. So taking a step back is always a good idea. Here at the start of this video we show the Eachine Mini version of the Bugs 3 Mini. I think it's called the EX2 Mini. I think it's still available somewhere. This model's about 3 years old. It's got brushless motors, it's zippy, it's fun, it's quite stable. It really is a joy to fly. Brushless motors, good battery life, ready to fly with a controller, all for about 40 quid at the moment, I think. And we've been trying to get to grips with whoops, which we're not used to flying, but hey, we kind of think we found one. The Eachine M80 did look a bit stodgy, and it does, but responsive wise, it's kind of in tune with the ham-fisted toy-grade controllers style flying we used to. It's kind of a good crossover in a way. I'm not saying it's perfect, it's not. You got to buy goggles on top, it's not a complete ready-to-fly kit, but it certainly feels a lot better in the hands than the Armour 65 Lite did with its tiny controller. It's about a third bigger on the controller size. The sticks feel responsive enough, and as a ready-to-fly package, there's no need to plug it into a computer, which, to be honest, is still a bit alien. I know you can do things, tweak things, but oh my god, why would you want to if you don't have to? I like the feeling of getting to know a quad and getting to know the feel of a quad, and all that tweaking and messing and PIDs and what was it, Expo, typing in CLIs, binding, I could do without. It is probably something I'm going to need to embrace, and we both accept that, but to be able to pull the quad out of the box, pop a few batteries in, charge the main one, and go out and fly a few packs around, this has been a bit of a revelation. So at the moment, I'm going to call the Eachine M80 a real sort of level of where we're at, which kind of says where we're at, but also enjoyable. I think we've tried to overstretch it of late with the Emaxes and things.
Yes, it seems like it.
That having been said, I also feel that having had good weather recently, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we finally got to fly on Saturday just because I think I'd lost the enthusiasm due to the amount of downturns we'd had with the tuning, the binding, I've got video problems on the Emax Tiny Hawk. I've got speed problems which I need to address on the Tiny Hawk Freestyle. On the Armour 65, I want to bind it to the Fly Sky radio. I just don't want to involve a computer. I just want to pick up a controller and fly a drone. And the M80 has really allowed us to do that. That having been said, we did try a second flight after the initial success on the Saturday. We didn't spend long flying it, I'll admit, but it felt great. On Sunday, the 8th of November 2020, we took the M80s to a different park where we have tried the Tiny Hawk and the Armour 65. And we tried flying FPV on the first battery, getting used to it, which was great. Unfortunately, the Eachine DVR watch we were using doesn't hold much charge and didn't recall zip all, basically. Kind of disappointed in that, but we cracked on nonetheless just to get some practice in. We sat under a metal sort of shelter for a bit, but more about that in a second, and flew the drone out of there once we'd been happy that the rain had abated a bit. Now, we did have a bit of fun. It was great. We managed to get the drone in and out of the shelter, past our heads, quite low, quite controllable. In fact, probably the best FPV experience, apart from the Bugs 3 Mini thing, that we'd had. Which is weird, because, do 5-inch quads behave a bit better than whoops? I don't know, I've got no experience. Comments below. Certainly got a recommendation from a previous video where we did the Bugs Mini and the Bugs, and whoever commented, and I will put it in the notes after, that you will probably fly the Bugs Mini more, was dead right. FPV wise, it's much more responsive and sensible. But back to the M80. Today, on Sunday the 8th, we flew around without being able to record, and once we'd got used to the orientation and everything and flying about a bit, we swapped the batteries over. The new battery seemed to be a bit more peppy. We realised quite early on then that the metal roof of the shelter we were in was interfering with the drone quite considerably, and it came cracking to the ground. Needless to say, I've been on to Banggood to order some new propellers. We managed to find every propeller, but sadly one of them was broken, as was the motor mount inside it. We wanted so much more time with this drone. It seemed to be the answer between the whoops and the toy drones of previous. It seemed to offer a real good sort of bridge between not having to plug anything in or pre-program it to actually get it to perform, and remove that side of the headache of things we're not used to. So if you too come from a background of toy drones with toy controllers and you just want to try a bit of FPV, currently I can say that the M80 responds well, flies well, films well, even though the camera's a bit of a crooked angle, to be honest. But anyway, it's made things like the Armour 65 Lite obsolete for me, certainly, due to the far more controllability, and things like the Emax Tiny Hawk and Tiny Hawk Freestyler we have. It's really put them in perspective in terms of there's so much more work on a computer, which neither of us particularly like or have warmed to. We will do a bit more, but really would prefer not to. So in short, the Eachine M80s, or M80 as the box says, a great FPV drone as a step up from toy drones into the FPV world. Supply your own goggles, get a few more batteries. It's fun, it's good. Is it worth around £60? Absolutely, definitely, and far more flyable than some other things we have covered lately, which really have put a dampener on the hobby, to be honest. This was a little ray of sunshine until today. But again, no fault of JJC, no fault of anything other than a metal roof interfering with a bit of transmission and unfortunately a bit of glue and maybe a couple of props, and we'll be sorted. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See what you think. I think it's a belter. I hope there's many more videos to come from it. I'll let you know in the near future. Thanks again.